I'm finally back with my thoughts on one of the most controversial and anticipated movies of 2019. This is Joker. So what's up, it's Film Frenzy, and I had the pleasure of seeing Todd Phillips' standalone Joker movie in theaters last night. Super excited to talk about it. Let's get into the first category of direction and visuals. Right off the bat, in the first couple minutes, I was just like, wow, the filmmaking is so high caliber in this movie. I thought the color grading and just the sense of tone that they create and the ambiance from like the visuals was just really impressive. It has a very distinct visual style to it. I would say that's definitely more prominent in the beginning of the movie to get you hooked. But like, it just feels so different than other superhero movies right away, and different from other movies in general. Like, their color palette, just like the way like all the shots are done, and the compositions are very interesting. I thought like with the intro and how it creates like this 1970s, I would say, I'm not sure on that, Gotham City, New York. They don't specify the time period, but it takes place in the past, and it feels very, very dark in a really great way. And they use these really weird shots sometimes. Like, you'll have Joaquin Phoenix's Joker just centered in the frame, and this like weird shots that feel off-putting in like the perfect way. I thought the visual style was just phenomenal. The direction was excellent, how it all fit together, and at least in the visual realm. And I thought that the score was fittingly like bipolar. Objectively, you think, oh, the score kind of is weird. I mean, sometimes it feels a little heavy-handed, sometimes it feels like a little ironic and juxtaposed against like the really like atrocities happening, and they're playing like some beautiful Frank Sinatra song. But I think that fits perfectly, like just the tone of this film, and they really nail it down. That's kind of frantic, and you don't know what to expect. And then like what I thought was a bleak color palette, I think this is absolutely ingenious. So it starts very bleak, and then it becomes more and more colorful, but not like beauty, like nice pretty colors. This isn't a Lego movie. This is like these weird off-putting like bright shades that feel very retro, that remind me of the 70s, and are just awkward. And it's because, like, yeah, his character is Joker. He gets bright, and he comes out of this, like, this depression, and it's in the creepiest way possible. I mean, there's some weird color choices. That scene where he's dyeing his hair green, the bathroom, the pink tiles, it's just, oh my. They knew what they're doing in the visual realm of this movie. If I could give it a 6 out of 5 here, I would. So obviously, perfect 5 stars for direction and visuals. Let's move on to acting and character development. So before going into the elephant of the room when it comes to acting and character development, let's talk about some of the supporting players, which, of all the super movies I think I've seen, these are the most, like, very supporting players. Like, they don't have that big of roles in the movie, although they are very important. The key ones are probably Zazie Beetz' character, that is the neighbor of Joaquin Phoenix's Arthur Fleck, and there's a very interesting dynamic between them. I think even though she doesn't get to show off a ton of her acting range, she does a really great job in this role, and it just shows a lot of range from this to like Deadpool 2 when she played Domino. Really impressive, great superhero movies for this actress. And then his mom, Arthur Fleck's mom, Penny Fleck, she was really played excellently. She kind of has this like weird vibe to her, foolishly crazy, and it's unsettling because you don't know like what to expect from her. And I thought she played the character perfectly, and I think that really, like, even though neither of those characters had arcs, they really just supplemented the film excellently. I thought really served their purpose great. And then also Thomas Wayne, who I didn't even know he had that big of a role in this movie, and he did, and it was pretty cool. I mean, it wasn't a huge role or anything, but he did his part really, really well, and I was impressed, and I thought it was definitely an interesting character and a new take on the character than you usually see. I appreciate that. And finally, the big one to talk about when it comes to supporting characters is Robert De Niro's Murray Franklin. He is a comedy talk show host, and just wow, he really like delivered in this movie. Like, I didn't know how big of a role it would be, and it wasn't that big, but it felt huge because his character was a very important player in the film, and he really just embodies like the talk show host perfectly, and he is just the exact antithesis of Arthur Fleck's character, and I thought that was brilliant how well he's played by Robert De Niro, because he kind of has this like civilized jerk vibe to him. Like, he seems like he's doing everything right and he's a great person, but he does things that like aren't very kind, and it just the exact opposite of what like the Joker is, and it just felt like just such a perfect character and such a perfect foil for him to play off of. I thought that was really excellent, and it just builds into this excellent climax with the two characters. I'm not going to spoil, this isn't a spoilers review, but at the end I thought that was really, really cool. And so now it's time, of course, to talk about the big player. And those characters don't really have a ton of the development, like, as the story goes, but they are very well developed in the sense, like, from the get-go, like, you see who they are, and they're really well played. But, of course, the character that has one of the best arcs, dare I say, in movie history, is Joaquin Phoenix playing Arthur Fleck, who becomes the Joker. And, gosh, give him the Best Actor Oscar right now. That was just such an insane performance. All the levels, I mean, he gets everything down. The weird, like, uncontrollable laugh, perfect, startling. This guy just plays so many levels and so unsettling, and you really feel for him at the same time, but like you hate him and you want him to just like not, like, don't want him to flick the switch where he becomes bad, and you're just like tentatively on your seat the entire time, and that's largely thanks to Joaquin Phoenix's performance. It's most likely the best part of this movie, and it really holds all the glue together, because otherwise, how else is this movie going to work if it's not for such a phenomenal lead actor? Joaquin Phoenix is very picky with the scripts he chooses, and usually he delivers an amazing job and picks amazing movies. I mean, this, Gladiator, he just knows what he's doing, and it so much comes through on this, and this might just be my favorite superhero performance of all time. I was just shocked. I had high expectations for his performance, and he somehow exceeded them by a ton. So this category, again, is getting 5 stars, despite the supporting characters not really having development as the story goes on. That wasn't part of the plot and wasn't essential to it, so I'm totally cool with that. And finally, my favorite category, the story elements of plot, pacing, script, and theme. There's a ton to talk about here, but I'm going to try to keep it brief. And so, going off the plot, wow, this is an odd film. So instead of going the traditional route of like a character slowly going into crazy mode from just like a depressed state where he has all the seeds planted, but then they just harvest in full bloom and he goes all out, which is kind of what the film is. They take a weird spin on it, and it makes it feel just very unsettling. Like, you don't know what to expect. And I thought that was very interesting, because I was expecting the traditional, like I said before, that type of character route. But no, they take on these weird turns that do not feel right. It has a small, incoherent feel to it, but I thought that was intentional, at least I think so. And I thought that added to it so well. This is a manic film. I said before, frantic. This crazy movie is just really messes with your mind. And I thought it was really excellent how they don't go the cliched approach to the character delving into madness, which I thought was really impressive, because even if it was just like that, it would still be a great movie. But nope, they went the extra mile and just went all over the place. They cover these strange subplots that suddenly end, and yeah, it's kind of a mess, but it felt right. Some movies don't feel right. Most movies, when they're a mess, do not feel right. This one felt perfect as a mess, and I thought that was beautiful for that. I don't want to delve too much into the plot specifics, but I will say that there are just so many phenomenal scenes, and I think it was very smooth, though it was kind of all over the place, like going from one scene to the next, and I thought it was really, really interesting how that was done, and like the pacing, I thought it was very like fast-paced, but also slow-paced. Kind of hard to say how it is like that, because it doesn't feel like one of those old-fashioned slow movies, but at the same time, this isn't like action, action, action. They build up that action really well. So again, just every like trait of this movie feels kind of bipolar in this perfect way. Like they just capture this strange lightning in a bottle somehow, and I think that's really impressive with the plot and the pacing and the script. Wow, it's really a great script. I mean, this is just feels so believable talking about mental illness. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I took psychology last year, and it checked out. I mean, this movie really, really felt like a great dive into that, and what happens when a society that's lost its compassion just turns a man into this monster. And yeah, of course it's the man's fault too, and I don't think they put any like, you know, they don't like say, oh, this guy's a good guy. Like, we sympathize with him at the first, but they definitely showed that this guy is terrible and we should hate him. And at least I came out of the movie thinking, wow, he's bad. But what they do is just so brilliant. That's kind of the theme. I think, at least maybe the simple theme, is about compassion and just about being kind. And this society that he's living in, I think this is also kind of like a warning for our society that whatever happens, we need to be kind to people that are different from us. And that's really shown here, how he's a clown, he has a mental illness, and he's not treated well. It's definitely better now than it was like back in the day when this movie takes place. But I mean, there's still, of course, a lot of improvement to be made. I think it makes some great statements. It's very timely, but also like it has a timeless feel to it. And how, yeah, societies are always going to have a lot of cruel people, and that leads to my biggest fault of the movie, and really my only major fault with the film, and that lies in the fact that it's a little too exaggerated how mean people are. Like, it's kind of ridiculous how mean they are. I mean, I know it should be exaggerated a bit, but there's like 2 or 3 decent characters in the film, and they're all terrible. I know it's kind of from his perspective, and people are mean to Arthur Fleck because he has some crazy mental illnesses, including like that uncontrollable laughter. Makes sense, but still, like, it's kind of when they just show people, like, not even from his perspective, they're terrible. Like, I get this is a fiction film. I think it's good that it distances itself from real society, but it just felt a little bit too exaggerated sometimes, where it was like, really? Seriously? Because then it just kind of takes you out of, like, how real it feels and how dark the drama is. Then again, that's just a small nitpick. This category is still getting a really strong 4.5 out of 5 from me. So that leads to my overall thoughts. And as you can tell, I absolutely love this movie. I don't know why it's currently sitting at 69% on Rotten Tomatoes. I guess it is kind of polarizing, controversial, and I feel like this is a movie where love it or hate it. Maybe some people are kind of in between. But yeah, it's pretty crazy, and I could definitely see why. I hope there's like a warning that if somebody has a mental illness, like, don't watch this movie because it's kind of crazy. It messes with your mind, and I don't have any mental illnesses, and I was still like, gosh, I was kind of shaken at that. But like, shaken's different from like inspired to do crazy things. Like, this movie, like, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but like at the end, it just leaves you with like, just wow, this is just so much power, and like he goes all out with the Joker, and I feel like that definitely could like speak to some unstable people, which it's a risky film. And I think this is definitely the ultimate Joker film. I even would say, as crazy as it sounds, I kind of hope there's not another Joker movie made. Because there's been a lot of great interpretations. But I would say this is the best. Yes, I'm saying Joaquin Phoenix I prefer as a Joker over Heath Ledger. And I know that's a crazy statement to be made, but I just think it was that just great job him playing it, and this really embodied the character so much. I mean, I've talked about how crazy this movie is, how manic it is, going back and forth. I've described how bipolar all these different traits are to the film, how you just don't know what to expect, and it goes off in these weird tangents, and it comes back, and it all makes sense at the end. And yes, this is definitely the film embodiment of what the Joker is, and I couldn't have asked for a better Joker movie. This is practically perfect. A 4.75 out of 5. So, ignore what the critics are saying. It's going to be mixed. You might love it. You might hate it. It's all valid, but I highly suggest you go out and watch this movie in theaters because it's definitely a cinematic experience, and it's something that needs to be seen on the big screen. So, let me know down below your thoughts on Joker. Currently, it's sitting as my favorite movie of 2019. Hopefully that changes because I always love to see another great movie. I'll keep you guys posted for new reviews and rankings and other film-related videos coming relatively soon to the channel. See you guys later. This is Film Frenzy signing off. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.